Hey guys, welcome to the last week, week 8. In this week, we're going to be going over animating and rendering. Currently, I have a bunch of videos in here that will kind of teach you how to move the camera around, just because there's so much that I have to fit in this kind of last week, and I've already made an extra bonus unit and extra resources for you guys. So if you do get stuck, you can go and check those out as well. This is for more like animating a character and instead of like a creature. And this bonus unit, we've got our 3D modeling in there, or our 3D printing. My fault. Um, and so for this week, I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over the different videos that I uploaded that helped me animate my battle scene. So how to switch cameras in Blender. This video is basically, it just teaches you how to set up 3 different cameras and then on the timeline switch between the two, which I can briefly show you how that works. This one is putting a camera on a path. So we're gonna make a spline, and then we're gonna put a camera and attach it to that spline and have it move. And then we're gonna make objects wiggle, which is, it's fairly easy. It's actually just you just type code into the scale feature or the move feature, depending on how you want it to move. Um, and then learning the build modifier is the newest modifier that I've learned recently, which is if you 3D model something, you can construct it in real time using that modifier and or deconstruct it in real time. And I'll show you what we kind of went over with that. So I'm just going to move this out of the way and let's hop right into Blender. So I will show you guys what we're working with right now. So this is the animation tab. I'm going to go into layout instead, and we're just going to have it be in here. And we're going to exit out. So if you see, everything is kind of basically the same from when I left off. The only thing that's different is this ring and several different cameras, depending on where we are at in the timeline. So how I've decided to set this up is I've set up 4 different cameras, 2 of which are stationary, and they're like the traditional Pokemon fight scene. So this one, if we go into it, hold up, I think it's Control 0, and that sends you into that camera. So yeah, this looks like a traditional stationary Pokemon camera fight. And then there's also the opposite side, so you can see what the opposite side is doing and how they're attacking and or what their perspective basically looks like. Okay. And then we've also got our non-stationary cameras, which is what I told you right here. Sorry, hold up. Let me mute the snow plane that tends to get in the way. So this right here, it's a Bezier circle, and basically all these cameras do is, if you go into this camera tab right here, this one, let's take a look at our constraints tab. This one has 2 constraints on it. It's got a follow path Bezier circle on it. And basically all that constraint does is it tells it, hey, camera, you're going to follow this path right here on the timeline. And that's all it does. And then I added another constraint called track 2, which basically, as it's moving, it's constantly staring at an object that I tell it to, which Armature 001 is our character right here. This is Snowrun. And the same for this camera as well. If we go into this camera, it's the same thing. Except for instead of Armature 001, it's Armature nothing, because this was the first Pokemon we made in this project file. So if we actually play it, we can see the cameras move, and you can see how I've animated everything, kind of. So yeah, that's how the cameras work. So that covers switching cameras and putting cameras on a path. And let's see, learning the build modifier. So for the build modifier, these are kind of hard to do, but I'll get them to appear. this right here, these two ice circles, this is what I use the build modifier on. So if we go into modifiers and we go into build, I have the I have it reversed, and I can have it set to what start frame I want it to be, and I can set it for the amount of time that I want it. So basically all this does is it comes out as a circle, and then another one comes out, and then it's kind of supposed to be like a pulse, so it goes up in the air and then it evaporates. And this is what creates the snow attack. So I just turn on the snow plane again, and you can see that the snow is kind of falling, and I've also added little circles that kind of appear out of the ground once this happens. Um, so as you can see too, you can see you'd have to reference the video. I don't remember the code off the top of my head, but our character Snowrunt here actually has the shake code tied to his Z axis, which makes him shiver, kind of like he's actually does in Pokemon. And that's how I utilized that. So heading into, I guess, animating itself right now, we are basically how I did it was I just like went into the animation tab, right? And so the animation tab actually really helps. So I suggest when you animate to animate in the layout or the modeling tab, switch over to the animation tab so you can see all the cameras and what they're doing. So for example, like I can select this camera, SnowRent camera 001, which is I'm not sure which one it is. It's probably the stationary camera right here. Yeah, because this is the first one. So I have the first one up here as the stationary camera. So let's say I want to switch cameras, right? So I'm going to say, okay, here I don't want them. I want to get a good shot of the pulse coming out. So I'm going to press M, and that sets a marker at frame 20 right here. That's what that stands for. So now that I've got that selected, what I can do is I can select a camera that I want to switch to. So what do I think would be good for this shot? I think this might be good, staring at this one, or maybe over here. I think just for the sake of the explanation, hold up, get rid of the snow plane again. Okay, hold up. There. So I'm gonna click this, select, and set active camera. And then I'm gonna jump back into animation. Go to F20. I'm not sure why it wasn't working over here for whatever reason, but and then you want to go to marker, bind camera to marker. So this is going to bind the active camera, which is this one right here behind Snom, to this marker that we've placed on the timeline at frame 20. So now that we've done it, it switches it up. So now when I go and press play, it switches that scene. I actually like that frame switch, so I might actually leave it, because it gets, you get to see Snom kind of do a little wiggle too, and it makes it look a little non-stationary, like there's a lot of more active things. So I might actually leave that, give or take a couple frames. Okay, so that's gonna be all for kind of how our animating is. I actually, before we end this, I do want to show you kind of how my dope sheet looks. If you would like, I mainly use the dope sheet, but because I just don't have that much experience. More people with more experience typically use the graph editor, which basically allows you to use ease in and ease out a lot better. And these are all the bones attached to Snom. So here's the other bone set attached to Snowrunt. And we can kind of see on the timeline. So this is when he gets hit right here. I'm just gonna leave that as is for now. But so you can actually edit these on the graph editor and the dope sheet. But typically how I do it is from the dope sheet.